Hello, my name is Olura Timiosha. Today is July the 29th, 2026. Today I want to talk about books that can help one to acculturate their minds and into the field of investment banks for people interested in doing an MBA or going to business school and getting an undergraduate degree in finance or in business. So I've worked in an investment bank before. I was focused in investment management, wealth management, sales and trading in securities, and of course, I was able to make lateral movements into investment banks. I was actually interviewed and uh, given offers in uh, directly in the investment banking side, but I never started. So, how does one get to understand that environment? And of course, I have a business degree, I have an MBA, and I have an accounting undergraduate major as well. So, when I was interested in going to work for a bank, what I decided to start doing was I looked for books about investment banking, and of course many people who've worked for banks, they will typically write memoirs about their experience in investment banking or on Wall Street or as stockbrokers, and they'll provide an insight into the culture, the environment, and you could learn ahead of time about the sort of people that work in that environment, the scandals one can avoid, pitfalls to anticipate and to avoid. And you can get to know if you're interested in working with in such an environment, that has a certain reputation. So, um, without further ado, I'm just going to get into the list of books that you can read that can help acculturate you into the mindset of entering the investment banking space or entering wealth management space, or at least working for the major Wall Street banks, right? So, of course, the first book I read was Liar's Poker by Michael Lewis. Michael Lewis was an ex-bond salesman, and he wrote. He's a very good writer. His style, he's uh, he's very engaging, and he provides you a lot of insight into the characters, into the industry, how they operate, and what sort of people they're looking for. But I'm not going to go into details about the books or describe. I'm actually not going to describe the books or the films. I'm just going to provide an inventory. You can watch these. You can read the books yourself and watch them. In terms of films, Wall Street was the first one I watched. I think Wall Street, starring Michael Douglas. I think that was done in the 1980s, right? Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen. Wall Street. In more recent times, it's probably been over a decade. The Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street is based on a true story, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Matthew McConaughey was in it. So, The Wolf of Wall Street, based on a true story of a former stockbroker who, created a boiler room and was defrauding people. So, and that's the thing about investment banking, Wall Street. For people, it draws people that are smart but like money a lot. People who tend to be too avaricious, too, just money, 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 very obsessed with money. Sometimes will tend to do things that are fraudulent, right? So you've got to be very careful. Are you doing it because of the money or because of the quality of work, the nature of work that you're going to accomplish? If because there are many other fields in which you can actually make money that are less scandalous, that are less prone to risk, because when the scandal erupts and the feds do their investigation and they catch you, and they will catch you. It creates a paranoid environment. You see a lot of the people on Wall Street. Many people using drugs just to keep up, because they work very extremely long hours under tremendous stress. They use substance, they engaged in substance abuse, alcoholism, drinking, and because these people work what 80 to 120 hours, a week, conservative estimates, right? So yes, they make loads of money, but they spend the loads of money living around Manhattan, because they normally live walking distance from work, because sometimes they leave work at 3 a.m. and things like that, and they have to be back at work so immediately. And of course, Manhattan is extremely expensive, right? So you can see that's where a substantial portion of their money is going to, and some of these people end up becoming dependent on drugs and things like that. I'm not saying everybody is, so I not to cast aspersions on an entire industry, but again, it provides, you have tremendous insights by reading some of these books and watching these films, their memoirs. But these books keep talking about drug abuse in these industries, right? Lots of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and things like that. So let me continue. Movies you can watch. There's The Boiler Room, right? Boiler Room is another movie. And in terms of book, there's Monkey Business, Swinging Through the Wall Street Jungle, written by John Rolfe and Peter Trube. There's Straight to Hell. Straight to Hell, True Tales of Deviance, Debauchery, and Billion-Dollar Deals by John Lefebvre. There's Barbarians at the Gates, The Fall of RJR Nabisco. There's a film, I've seen the film. For some reason, they had us watch the movie in, I can't remember which class it was, but in law school, we watched it in law school, because the aspects, maybe regarding evidence, but we watched it in one of my law school classes. I can't remember which one it was. There's Den of Thieves by James B. Stewart, and then there's The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine by Michael Lewis as well. Michael Lewis, like I said, wrote Liar's Poker. I've seen the film. It starred Brad Pitt and Christian Slater. I've seen the film, basically about the 2008 financial scandal. That was the time I decided to leave the finance industry. And again, it was a second time in which I got an offer in trading, right? In trading, to go and run a trading desk, to be a specialist. But at this time, I decided to pursue something else that I was interested in, and of course, that was law school at the time. But I didn't immediately go to law school. I've done videos talking about that. So there is also When Genius Failed, The Rise and Fall of Long-Term Capital Management by Roger Lowenstein. So hopefully these books help. I didn't want to make this video too long. I'm going to do another video and then talk about books for law school, which I really like. I did a lot of that. There are lots of films to watch for law school. So law school, I had been watching films, movies for law school since I was a kid. Typically, when you get into law school, or before law school, if you go for a law school orientation, the speaker might ask you to watch Paper Chase. So I'll put that out there. And most of us know Law and Order. Many people talk about Perry Mason. But I'm going to stop this here, and I'll do another video entirely and focus on books, literature, material, films to watch for law school. I hope this helps. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.